Hello YouTube. In this video we're going to talk about the skin texture, and we're also going to deal a little bit with shading the beard. Okay, this video, what I thought I would focus on is just a few little pointers here dealing with the skin and with the beard. Now I'm pointing out here the skin in this photograph is kind of dotted. You can see these kind of white dotted, and I thought what I would do is replicate that by using this Tombow Mono Zero eraser. And as you can see, after I had laid down my graphite, I decided to just start lightening it up. So because the highlights of that reference photo is in the center of the forehead, I could just simply start lightening the whole area with with an eraser, a kneaded eraser, for example. But I wanted to get that textured where it just kind of resembled the pixelations and the skin pores and everything of the photograph itself. And so here I'm locating, for example, the little light highlights within this darkened area, and I'm demonstrating here what I did. I just simply went in there with the Tombow and just kept woodpeckering it until it lightened up. So rather than just taking wide area of graphite off, I'm only taking little dots of it off, and then as a whole it gives this very interesting texture to the skin, which is something that I would not normally be able to achieve as easily without doing what I'm doing here, just woodpeckering with this eraser. And I'm demonstrating it over and over again, what I've done. Under the eyes, same thing. If it needs to be lightened, I lighten it that way. And the nose, you can see I did the same thing. And it gives kind of an interesting skin pattern when you look at it where you're supposed to look at it, and that is, within like 18 inches away from your face. Now I'm going to show you the beard area, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a dark pencil such as the Mars Lubograph 8B, which has a little bit of carbon as well as the graphite, and I'm going to start at the edge because that's where the dark area is on his chin, on the side of his face. And then I'll take the blending tool and I'll start to blend over that and then up into the face area where it would give me the lighter shading that emanates from the bottom of his jaw and so forth, because as that moves further and further up towards around his eye socket, it's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter, and that's going to give the sense of the face not being flat as the sheet of paper I'm drawing on, but it's going to give it that 3D appearance like a photograph would show it, where you have from the dark zone and then you're moving up into the lighter area, which is right underneath his eyes, right off from each side of his nose. Now here I'm just adding some more dark, and I'm going to move this up so you can see it in the camera. And so I'm just putting in the little dark areas, and it's not meant to actually stand out as hair, although if you look very closely you can see dark lines in there as if there is a small beard, small amount of hair coming from his face. And then what I will do is I'll just blend that more upwards into his above that beard area, and then a little bit later here I will go in there and just put in a few highlights, and I'll show you how I'll do that. And I even have a video on how to do white hairs and so forth. And you can see I've already done the hairs at the on his chin and on the right side of his face, which would be the left side to you viewing this. But here I'm showing you what I did. On the left side, I'm showing it on the right side of this drawing here. Is just you just start adding the dark pencil, you start blending it, and then you're going to work it up. And that's how I got the cheeks and everything done. Now I'm going to use graphite here to give me something more to blend with, because I don't want to go with the carbonate B all the way up his face. It's just too much. I need something that will lighten up as I blend it upwards. And this 6B pencil, this woodless 6B, would work, real well for this, as I will be demonstrating here. Now you always want to add your graphite, in the areas, let's say, of the most concentrated areas. In this case here, it's at the base of his jawline, and then blend away from the jawline towards the eyes and the upper cheekbones and so forth, which I'll show in a second here. And if you look at the other side of the face, you'll see how that effect works. You'll see it goes from dark and goes to midtones, then it goes to lighter, and then it goes into the highlight area, where again I use that eraser with the little woodpeckering on there to lighten that up, and that's just a little something that I'm just kind of messing around with in this particular drawing, and I'm actually quite pleased with the effect, so I'm going to stick with it. I will admit that this is the first drawing that I'm actually using such an approach to do my highlights, but I got the idea by looking at that reference photo and noticing all those pixels, because I enlarged it so big from the original that I could see these little white dots and so forth, and I thought, I want to kind of replicate that rather than give him a baby smooth skin, which is not realistic. And I'm going to go with that. That's what I'm doing for this particular drawing. Now, as you can see, that as I'm blending upwards and defining his cheekbone, I'm doing that without having to go to the pencil. I'm using the blender with whatever graphite is still left on it, and if I need more, I just go down into the darker area and blend it up and over, and that gives the appearance of the cheek going from the dark area of the face up into the light. And I will define his upper cheekbones using this method. I find it quite easy to do, and it does help you, at least it helps me, I should say, and I think it would help you as well, that it helps you to define the contours. Is that a word, contours? Anyway, the curvatures or whatever of his face. Contours. For some reason, it's just not rolling off my tongue today. You see how it just gets lighter and lighter as I get closer to his eyes, and I'm moving the graphite into the area that I want to be his upper cheekbones. And of course, I'm looking at the reference photo to make sure I am duplicating exactly the shading of light and dark that I see in the reference photo. And this is all in real time, folks. It's all in real time. So no time lapse here. You get a sense of how long it would take to do this. Now what I'm doing here is I'm diffusing the edges that I made with the blender. And now I'm going to go ahead and just put some of that texture in there again. It's apparently from the edge of where I blended. But I'm not going to do all of it in this video here because I've just wanted to demonstrate the process. And this is not necessarily something I'm going to do in every one of my drawings. But for this one, I just thought it appropriate, and I'm going to stick with it. I like it. As I endeavor to just duplicate what I see on that reference photo, regardless of whether his face is actually like that or that's just his face in a photograph, because I am looking at a photograph, and so I'm just drawing the photograph. And every time you see me pull that eraser away, I'm wiping it on a piece of paper or on my hand, because I want to take the graphite off of the end of that eraser, otherwise it won't pick up anything. And here I'm showing what I'm duplicating just with the blender and with that eraser. And I'm taking some of the glare off with my hand so I can see, because it's very hard to see what I'm doing with all that light glare going down on it. Now this is nowhere near finished. I still have a lot of darkening to do around that light area of his mustache and so forth. But I just wanted to, you know, show a little bit of what I'm doing, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera. And there you can see I'm again showing a little woodpecker eraser thing. I'm not sure that woodpecker thing is going to stick as a saying, but I have no other way of describing this little, you know, jabbing it with the pen eraser. Now I'm going to put some highlights in here. I try to do it a little bit with the pen eraser, then I kind of say, you know what, forget it. I kind of like my little frisket tape idea and a toothpick, and I'm just going to take a few little hairs out, little highlights, not too many, just a couple in there, because the reference photo doesn't show that many. And then just show you what it looks like. You see just a little bit, just to make it stand out, and that's just using frisket. And you could use Scotch, even though, or the thing is a Scotch tape will of course take off too much graphite. Anyway, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next video.